be able to address all of you this morning. I kind of want to frame the next couple days as why we're here and the importance of the fight that all of you have on your campuses. And so when we first started Turning Point USA, we obviously started as a response to the very effective grassroots organizing machine of Barack Obama and the political left. But over the last couple years, we've started to encounter what I believe is team lefts, or the left. What they are trying to do on college campuses is their final play to delegitimize and attack Western civilization. And so, let's, by a show of hands, who here has a free speech zone on your campus? A zone where you can only speak freely, right? Who here has on your campus a safe space in case someone gets offended by some radical thought? Okay. Who here on your campus, and we did this yesterday, believes that there is an outward bias against conservatives? Everybody's hands go up. There you go. Everybody's hands go up. What is so amazing to me, what's happening on our campuses, and I think everyone here will agree, is that we are being trained, our generation is being trained, that if you disagree with somebody, therefore you must be offended, therefore they must be silenced. Therefore, the equation goes, if you disagree, we must silence them. Who here has experienced this on your campus, right? That is antithetical to what this country stands for, everything. The founding fathers built this country so you could say stuff that we disagree with, so that you could say stuff that is, by essence, politically incorrect. Now, you on your campuses, you hear about your professors saying, well, we have to make sure that we have safe and open dialogue. Has anyone heard that before? Right, yeah, we must ensure that no one is offended by these radical ideas. Was Devin Bilski around here somewhere? Is Devin Bilski? Probably not. He's working. So Devin filmed an amazing video at Denison University where he got a young lady on tape, and I think it's one of the most effective videos that shows exactly what is happening on our college campuses, where in 90 seconds, he was able to capture a young who is these social justice warriors, by the way? They are the most ridiculous people in the world, okay? I mean, they are sad creatures, aren't they? I mean, really, really, really sick people, okay? I mean, they dress up in like costumes and they come after you. They want nothing to do with open free speech and discussion. All they care about is to silence you. Anyway, so Devin got one of them at Denison University, and she literally said in the video, I don't want to have a discussion with you. Your ideas are blank. You guys can fill in the word with whatever swear word that she did use. And she said, I don't want to have a discussion with you. I want to silence you. I don't want your ideas to even be spread here. And of course, he just had the radical posters that says, I heart capitalism. And then Devin came back very thoughtfully and he said, so are you going to make a point? And she said, no, I'm not going to make a point, blah, blah, blah. They are being trained to silence everybody in this room. So if this box was a free speech zone, what we teach people at Turning Point USA to do is to say, this is the only place I can speak freely. Like, okay, thank you very much. And just step outside. The whole country's a free speech zone, for goodness sakes, right? I mean, our founding fathers, there is no such thing as a free speech zone. And what they are really doing here, now who here has heard of trigger warnings, right? And so, I have to admit, this is all new, by the way, the last couple of years. This has really started to intensify. I went to a campus recently, and I'd never encountered the beauty that is a trigger warning, or the lack thereof. And so I go to this campus, and I'm told that in their student senate meetings and in certain classrooms, if you misidentify somebody by the wrong gender pronoun, then that's a trigger warning. Who here has encountered this before? That's ridiculous. You have kids graduating, well, actually, not all of them are even graduating. You have kids graduating college, they don't know who the Vice President of the United States is. They don't know who's on the Supreme Court. But excuse me, you used the wrong gender pronoun, okay? I'm sorry. And then meanwhile, we're $19 trillion in debt. The job market's never been worse for young people. The average student loan debt in this country is $32,000 per borrower, and I'll get into that in a second. And the thing the left is focusing the most on is using the right gender pronouns or suppressing conservative thought on speech. So who here is sort of Milo, yellow, yeah. He's not going to be here, unfortunately. But what Milo has done so amazingly well is he has gone to these campuses. He's a provocateur. I don't even know if he believes half the stuff he says, but that's okay. It's kind of really out there at times. But he has highlighted exactly what the left believes. They don't want to have a discussion. I see a Trump hat there. Here's an experiment. And I'm not the biggest Trump fan in the world, but that's okay. The Trump hat. We wear that around. They say, you can't wear that. Take that off. If someone wears a Bernie Sanders shirt, we just laugh at them. Like, that's pathetic. Hey, you're funny. That's right? They don't possess that within them. Now, why is that? Why is the left, who here's in a sorority, by the way? That's awesome. I love it. Why is the left going after fraternities and sororities so hard? Why is the left saying that conservative clubs cannot exist? Why are they doing this? Because they finally came to the conclusion, especially after the Reagan Revolution, they said, boy, when we actually have a debate, we lose. They have like facts and statistics and like charts and logic. So they got together and they said, well, I truly believe this. They said, if we tell people to be offended, if they're offended by all these radical ideas, you're racist. Who's been called a racist before? I never knew there were so many racists in a room at one time. So ridiculous, the notion. Who's been called a xenophobe? And he's the best, a misogynist. Who's been called that? That's really amazing to me, that you hate. I never knew so many women could hate other women. It's quite remarkable. And why did they do that? Because we are right and they are wrong. It's just that simple. Because we have facts and they don't. And so by suppressing freedom of speech and suppressing the free exchange of ideas, that is their way to win. Because they know as long as they can keep these college students in their protective bubble and in their safe spaces and to feel like victims, then they're going to be able to advance their political agenda. And every person in this room has said, I reject that. I want to have earned success. I don't want free stuff. I want freedom. I don't want to just live in a society that is mediocre. I want to live in a country that I can excel to the greatest possible level imaginable. Who's heard this before? Well, those Scandinavian countries, they're much happier than us, and they have those 70% tax rates. You know what? If you want to be average, go to Europe, honestly. If you just want to check, this is what we should tell the left. If you just want to be okay, you can go to a Scandinavian country. If you want to be taken care of, but what makes this country uniquely different is that there is a risk index embedded in our country. That I'm going to work harder than you. I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to start that business. I'm going to open an extra laundromat. I'm going to get another college degree. I'm going to buy 3 houses. Why? Because they're awesome. I want houses. Who doesn't want a house? Who's heard that before? Well, no one should have more than one house when they're homeless people. No, I'm going to work hard and I'm going to reward myself for it. Because in a free market system, if you get earnings, you didn't steal it. You created value for somebody else. You did not pillage. You did not plunder. You did not rob. And what's so amazing about the socialist countries, who are the richest people in the socialistic countries? The people in government. You see, Maggie Thatcher, who, by the way, is awesome, and she should be revered as one of the best female leaders of the 20th century, she had a great analogy. She said, the left is more concerned. They don't want to bring people up. They'd rather bring the richest people down. And that is exactly what the political left is trying to do. They want to hamper everybody in this room's ability to succeed, to go higher, to earn more money. And so when we say at Turning Point USA, women don't need government to succeed, we absolutely believe it. Because everybody in this room possesses the intellect, the knowledge, and the drive to succeed without a government program. See, Hillary Clinton and the Bernie Sanders left, and he's just totally nuts, and I'll talk about him in a second. They live off of the political trough. And so when your whole life is politics, like Hillary Clinton, when you look at a room full of women, she says, boy, if everyone in this room ended up being a hardworking, business-owning taxpayer, they won't vote for me. So how does she program her thought? She says, how do I make everybody in this room more dependent on government tomorrow than they are today? Because when you're here and you go start that business and you go run for office and you go be successful, that's a threat to Hillary Clinton. That's a threat to Bernie Sanders because it loosens their political control on the American people. And when we talk about free markets and free people, we believe that everybody in this room, everyone across the country can pursue your own self-interest without Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama or Bernie Sanders getting in your way, taking your earnings, and taking what is yours. And what is so remarkable to me is the silence of the political left as free speech erodes on our college campuses. See, they used to, stand for free speech. They had the ACLU, they had all these different protest groups. They want nothing to do with free speech, nothing. And I went on a college campus, and I saw these things called free speech zones, and I thought it was kind of a joke. I didn't realize that this is enforced by like mall cop college staff. They're like, no, you gotta stay in the box. I'm like, I'm out of the box. Well, are you a student? I'm like, of course I'm not a student. Well, you're not allowed on campus. This is a public university. Who are you? You're not a cop. Like, get away. He's like, and then, so the best thing in the world, get a pocket constitution, just throw it at him. Just throw it. Like, read this and just walk away. Just throw it at him. It's the best thing you could do, because the First Amendment applies to every single square inch of this country. It is not a selective area. What is so remarkable about the opportunity that we have to live in this country at this time in human history. See, it's really interesting. I mean, of course, you probably don't learn this in school, but you're all here, so you probably appreciate it more than most. What the founding fathers designed and what they created. From Mesopotamia to Babylon, to ancient Greece, to Rome, to the Chinese Empire, to the British Empire, the paradigm was that people reported to a serf and to a ruler. So the ruler was in charge of the people. For hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years, that was the paradigm. That the ruler would tell us how to live. And then these radical, and I'm going to say it because it's politically incorrect, these radical white guys got together, right? Because those evil white men, who's heard that before too? Evil white men destroying, you know what? They were white, and you should say that, okay? Who cares? These evil white men said, you know what? People should be free. And they said, we're going to take a risk. We're going to do something that has never been tried before. It could end up in anarchy. It could end up in total disarray. It could end up in people just running around killing each other. But it's better than what we have now. It's better than living under a king. So they said, you know what? Let's just draft up this document. It's a big deal to do that. I mean, for John Hancock, the richest man in America, George Washington, by the way, was like Bill Gates. I mean, he was super rich, really well respected. So imagine Bill Gates right now writing a letter to Barack Obama saying, you know, there comes a time in human events where people might, like, Bill Gates would never do that. Are you kidding me? That's the equivalent. He had everything to lose. And they put together this social construct that said, for the first time in human history, we're going to design a system that limits the size of government and expands personal and individual liberty. And they won't teach you this in schools because they don't want you to know this, because it's a threat to their political power. But they made a concerted effort to protect your freedoms and liberties. Whereas every other civilization in human history, whether it be even Rome, Mesopotamia, ancient Egypt, they did everything they could to limit personal freedom, to make sure that you weren't able to own private property, to make sure that if you said something wrong, they would chop your head off. If you disagreed with the ruler, that you would be put in prison. And so here are these guys that had the forethought and the enlightenment to say, no. We're going to say, let's draw a line. This is where we are drawing our line. And we are going to say that people should be free. Free from government tyranny, free from rulers, free from dictators, free to take risks in a market economy, the freedom to succeed, the freedom to flourish. And what is so amazing to me, in 1776, when they penned the Declaration of Independence, what else was written in 1776? Here's the coolest trivia question. Everyone gets this, you get a prize. What else was written? Adam Smith's, there you go. The Wealth of Nations. And so I truly believe, and you guys could all disagree, that God just said, I'm going to put the two coolest things in 1 year that's going to make human society flourish more than any other time. I truly believe that. And he said, I am going to put the intellectual backing for the free market and for free society in 1 year at one time, and we're going to try it out, and we'll see if it works. And God probably said, we'll see if they take the risk or not. I'm kind of being facetious a little bit. And we took that risk. We created a free government and a free society simultaneously with a free economy, both in 1776. I think that's too crazy to be a coincidence. And what has happened ever since? For the first time, then in 1776, from then to now, we had thousands of years of human history. Yeah, sure, they built pyramids, they built big statues, but people's lives didn't get better. It was just a flat curve for thousands of years. And then it goes up dramatically. All of a sudden, invention, ingenuity, progress, people getting richer. Because what's amazing about a free enterprise system is that, and this is the number one thing you have to tell a college professor. If there's only one thing that you walk away from what I say, this is it. Just because someone got richer doesn't mean someone got poorer. Just because someone got richer doesn't mean someone got poorer. Because in order to get rich in a free enterprise system, you have to create value. Who here has an iPhone? Everyone's hands go up, right? Who here uses Snapchat or Twitter or Facebook? They got very rich and your lives got better. When you get your customized Chipotle burrito, or your social justice warrior is using Uber on the way to a Bernie Sanders rally and getting Chipotle afterwards and streaming Game of Thrones and tweeting about it on Netflix, on Twitter, I'm periscoping Game of Thrones, right? That is made possible thanks to the free enterprise system. And every person, every entrepreneur that took a risk doing that, sure, they got wealthy, but your lives got better because of it too. Just because someone got richer does not mean someone got poorer. The struggle we have today on our college campuses, I firmly believe this, is the left knows that they have taken over our middle schools, they've taken over our high schools, now they've taken over academia. And now they're going after the sororities, they're going after the fraternities. Now I'm going to speak for those of you in Greek life right now. Why are they going after sororities so hard? Well, they operate on tradition, they operate on gender exclusivity. That's a radical notion right now. They operate on excellency, right? You have to have a certain level of GPA requirement. They operate on partnership that is voluntary and not compulsory. So there isn't an administrative overlord that oversees Greek life and says, Kappa, Kappa, Gamma, Delta, Gamma, you guys have... No, it all operates on tradition and a board of overseers because there is that ethic that we are going to take care of ourselves. Now, of course, there's plenty wrong with Greek life that goes on, all this thing. I'm not trying to say lift it, way off the edges. Of course, things that need to be addressed. But the reason the left is going after it, on college campuses in particular, is because what they want more than anything else is what? What do they want? They want control. And they don't like things they cannot control. And that is why they are targeting fraternities and sororities, targeting conservatives on campus, targeting libertarians that challenge free speech codes, because they don't like things they cannot control. I'm going to open up for questions in a little bit. But in summary of all this, what the left is trying to accomplish comes straight to head on college campuses. Every one of their end objectives. Barack Obama built his army in 2008 and 2012 on college campuses. He staked his claim. And everybody in this room, believe it or not, you are in a struggle and in a fight that is now over 250 years old. And they are pouring more resources, they are putting more attention and more energy into higher education now than any other time. And so when you fight back, and Mariah here, is Mariah here? Maybe. Oh my. Mariah, when she sues her school because they tried to block a Turning Point USA chapter, she says, okay, I'm suing you, and she won. Pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. When you do that and you punch back twice as hard, that is a threat to the control of the political left. College campuses, I firmly believe, are the final battleground for Western civilization. And everything that you guys do advances that every single day. So with that, I'd love to open it up for a couple questions. How much time do I have in the back? 5 minutes? Okay. Well, I guess I talked longer than I wanted to. We'd love to open up for some questions. So you can shout it out, or we got mics.
So when institutions are constantly reinforcing the left's agenda, how as individuals can we be strong enough to combat professors that have such credibility?
It's a great question. So what amazes me about what the liberals have been able to accomplish, and I think everybody in this room is going to agree, is how they have convinced a generation of people to feel as if they are contrarian or revolutionary when everybody around them is liberal. Your professors are liberal, your administrators are liberal, the media is liberal, all your favorite celebrities are liberal, all your friends are liberal, all your Hollywood celebrities. Who are you rebelling against? You're conforming. They wear their little sideways hat. I'm not going to subscribe to the status. You are the status quo, okay? And so what you need to tap into is to point out how being a leftist on a college campus is in fact the most conformist thing you can possibly do. Because young people inherently will want to, I want to be careful the word I use, push back and fight back against overreaching power or professors that have credibility. We have a booklet called How to Debate Your Teacher and Win. And we have empowered thousands of students to challenge and to cross-examine their professors and their teachers. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of guts to do that, but it's incredibly important because a lot of these professors are never challenged. Well, I'm the doctor of X, Y, and Z. When it really comes down to it, most of these professors have never, ever been in the private sector. Most of them. There's some that are good. Most of them went from their undergraduate to their master's to their doctorate, writing paper after paper after paper about how much capitalism is awful. Meanwhile, they are benefiting off an endowment that is wonderfully juiced by free market capitalism. And so, I mean, it's one of the most hypocritical things. And so, how do you fight back against it? Grow your chapter on campus, find other like-minded people, and start to say, hey, you know, you do realize that you're just conforming to the status quo. They don't like to hear that because the whole energy behind the Bernie Sanders phenomenon is they think they're fighting against the man. Like we're raging against, no, you are the machine, okay? Thank you very much. Like you are what you think you are fighting against, and thank you very much, Mr. Conformist. So that's my answer to that. So.
Hi, I'm Grace. I'm from North Carolina. I was wondering, when it comes to like free speech zones on campus and everything, obviously like not all of us necessarily like you don't want to straight go to, oh, I'm going to sue you. Like what do you suggest to do to when it comes to those free speech codes and stuff, as opposed to just being like, yeah, I'm suing you?
So I mean, push the envelope as much as you possibly can without getting into too much trouble is kind of the way that I try to, you know, if you want to be a campus radical, we'll back you for that because these free speech zones need to be destroyed. And here's really the way it works, and we've exposed this on Hypeline, is the free speech zones are nothing more than just administrative created prisons for conservatives because none of the liberal groups have to actually pertain to the free speech zones. Who's experienced this? They just go like do whatever they want. Like, oh, that's all right, that's freedom of speech. You must be in the, you know, you're saying big government sucks. You must be within the little box. And so with that being said, of course, the other way to do that is try to win your student government presidency position and just pass a free speech resolution, which is a pretty awesome way to reform that. What college did you go to?
UNC Charlotte. I'm starting there in the fall.
UNC Charlotte, it's a public school. Free speech zones, I believe, are totally unconstitutional through the state constitution of North Carolina and the national constitution. And so there's a lot to be said that if they try to put your speech in a box, I mean, they're violating the First Amendment. And not only that, they say you have to go through all these different application processes and all these things. So there's lots of different ways to push back against it, but just one day, just go outside the free speech zone with 50 kids and start tabling and do an event out there and be like, fine, like arrest us. They're not gonna arrest you. They're gonna report you and then it becomes a national story. I mean, but the reason they try to do that is they try to intimidate you and they try to silence you and to suppress free speech on campus. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. Question over. Josh.
Okay, hi. I was just wondering, what is your response to administrators on private campuses who try to say that they're above the law and the Constitution?
They're above the law. You hear that, everyone in the back?
I've personally been told this.
So this is for all the adults in the room. Don't give any of your money to colleges unless it's Hillsdale, Liberty, or King's College in New York City. Just don't do it. I mean, so an amazing quote happened, and one of our board members can reaffirm this, is Harvard has gone off the rails lately. And they are saying that, who's in a sorority again? Raise your hand. If you are in a sorority at Harvard University, by the way, they are off-campus, privately funded, sanctioned organizations, totally nothing to do with Harvard, but of course students. They say if you involve yourself in one of those sororities, you cannot receive scholarship aid from Harvard University, you cannot take a leadership position in any athletic or other club that is sanctioned by Harvard University, and they have all these other sanctions and rules and regulations. So what is so amazing is these private schools, why are they able to do that? Is because she doesn't care about losing donors. Harvard has a $50 billion endowment. And so how do you push back against it on private schools? I'm against the law on this. Well, of course, you can tell us, we'll help make a big heyday of it. But if you really want to be aggressive in a very crafty way, start to figure out, especially these small private schools, who are the board members and the board of overseers and trustees and endowments and foundations. They don't have to be conservative, but if they would be fed up to hear that free speech is being stifled, contact them, network with them, email them, What we're doing at Drake University and Creighton University, what they're trying to silence and suppress Turning Point USA chapters there, the first thing we did is we emailed every single person in their development department. Same thing at DePaul University. Go after the money. Find the biggest donors and don't try to cause a trouble. Just say, here's what's happening on campus. They're silencing me, and put all the facts. And we have dozens, if not hundreds of examples of these private administrators saying, no, I mean, the Constitution doesn't apply here. We make our own rules. Really? I didn't realize there was higher education sovereignty. Like, that's quite an interesting concept, right? And so that's one of the ways that you can fight back against it. So 2 more questions. Yeah. Oh, we got one in the back.
Oh,
Hi.
I'd like to say what my daughter did at Duke. Duke, she graduated about 5 years ago. There was an incident where the lacrosse team had a stupid off-campus party with a stripper. And 4 guys were accused of raping her. This was totally untrue. There were 30 professors that signed a petition to, for all intents and purposes, lynch these kids. And if they hadn't had one set of parents that really had money and legal guts, they would have had their lives ruined. The lacrosse coach was kicked out. She and a bunch of others put together that list of who those professors were and boycotted any class those professors had anything to do with.
Mm-hmm.
So some of it is getting those names out there of who the most egregious ones are, and try and get all of your friends, never take any classes from those people. And when their numbers start dropping, or you start talking to them and they're unreasonable, and you get a bunch of people saying and giving them bad reviews, that also has an effect.
You're exactly right. And so one example I'll give is we helped bring Milo to DePaul University. Get this is an unbelievable example of the silencing of free speech. They required our Turning Point USA chapter to pay $2,000 for security. I mean, our chapter didn't have that, so of course we pitched in from our central office. They bring in Milo, and so the whole conditions were, well, that's going to be so unruly, blah, blah, blah. We need security to keep the whole thing safe. Yeah, whatever, fine. So we said, fine, we'll pay it. There's an extra tax on conservatives. They would never make a liberal group pay for security. Are you kidding me? They wouldn't have the money anyway. So they taxed us crazy. And so what happened is 50 Black Lives Matter radicals stormed the stage, take the mic, all this sort of stuff. The security did nothing. They stood in the back like it was Ferguson, Missouri, and watched the buildings burn down. That's right, I said it. They stood in the back, and they got the stand down order. They just watched that happen. We paid $2,000 to have a spectator sport of security. We went up to the security with cameras. We said, what are you doing? Oh, the administration told us to stand down. We said, you got a stand down order from the administration? Yeah, we don't want to cause this into too much of a ruckus. It's not a ruckus. There's 50 people on the stage. I mean, and they're just standing there. Whole event essentially got blown up. And the radicals got exactly what they wanted, stormed the stage, ruined the entire event. So we retaliated. I want you, if you want to see something fun, go on your Facebook page and type in DePaul University. Just look at how many 1-star ratings they have right now. No, seriously, look at how many 1-star ratings they have. 15,000 1-star ratings. We blew up the internet. So it's so funny. DePaul University, you say they have like 5-star ratings and like 16 4-star, goes down and so anyone who now goes to the Facebook page of DePaul University, just nonstop, tens of thousands of patriots across the country, young and old, saying, this is ridiculous, this is that. DePaul's now so worried about this, they've posted in their alumni group, hey, can you guys help rate DePaul University? Get this, they're like, but why are there so many people putting 1? And they're like questioning, they're like, there must be a reason for this. I spoke to a donor, he pulled a $250,000 gift from DePaul University over there. $250,000 gift. And this is exactly what needs to start to happen. The suppression of free speech, and that's one of the ways you can fight back through it. One more question. Let's go to this.
We actually don't have any more time for questions. We got to move on. So everyone, let's give Charlie Kirk a big round of applause.